Now, when we go ahead and play the game, you can see the camera is just floating around and it's not really following the head when we look up and down. So in order to do this, let's go back here. Let's add the camera to the head of the character. And to do that, we need to find the skeleton for our character. And right now it is inside of the marketplace, inside of military character Silva. And this is the skeleton that we have been using so far. So let me just double click on it here. And inside of this skeleton, let's find the head bone. You can just go over here and try to search for the head bone. And you can see it's down here. You can also just search for it up here. A third method is to click on the character up here, go to bones, and go to all hierarchy. And this will show you all the bones for the character. And you can just go ahead and click on the head bone, and you can see it will also be selected here. I'm going to click on the character again and go to bones and select it only so I can remove those bones again. So now that you have selected the head bone, let's go ahead and right click here and create a socket. So add a socket. What a socket is, it's just an empty holder that you can use to attach items to it. In this case, we're going to use this holder to attach our camera to the head. You can also imagine you can use this for weapons as well. For example, if let's say you want to attach an AK-47 to the side of the character, you can always add a socket to the side of the character here, maybe to the hip, and then you can attach the weapon as well through a socket. But for now, we're just going to add a camera. So let's right click this head bone, go to add socket, and let me click on it and click on F2 on my keyboard to rename it, and let me call it S for socket and camera. Okay, so this socket camera, we have it now. Let's go ahead and close everything. And now let's go back to the blueprint, go to the player, and go to the player base. Okay, so inside of here, let's go back to the viewport. And now we want to attach this spring arm to the head or to the socket camera that we just created. Here in the sockets, you can see in the details panel, when you select the spring arm, you can see the socket section, and you can also see that it is attached to nothing right now. So if we click on this small folder, you can now see the socket. Now, if you don't see this, this is because you don't have this spring arm inside of this mesh component. If I drag this outside here like this, you can see if I click on this folder now, nothing happens. So you can see you have to put the spring arm into the character. So it's a child of this mesh before you can actually click here and see all of this. And you can also click on the counter terrorist, for example, and you can see when you click on the counter terrorist, you can't really click here on the spring arm for the counter terrorist. You have to do it through the parent. So in the player base, this is possible. So you will have the spring arm inside of the mesh. And then for the spring arm, we can click here and then we can select the camera. And remember, if you don't have anything in the mesh, for example, here you have none, you have cleared it and you don't have a character standing here, then you will not find the socket here as well. This is why in the player base, we need a character to be inside of here because we need to click here and then add it to a socket. So click on this as camera. And now the camera is attached to the character. You can see it's actually moving with the head movement. It's actually attached now. So it's more realistic now. Now it is floating. So let's click on the spring arm. For the target arm length, I'm going to write 0 since it's a first person game. And then for the location and the rotation, just click on these arrows to reset the location and the rotation as well. And you can go ahead and compile and save everything. And let's go ahead and click on play and see what it looks like. You can see we're inside of the head of the character right now. But when I look down and I look up, you can see it's following the head now. And when I stand still and take a look like in front of me, you can see it's following the head as well. The camera is moving slightly. The same thing when I run, it's actually moving with the same movement as the head. Okay, so now it's attached to our player. Let's go back and let us now try to adjust the socket. So if you open up the skeleton again, I go back to the military character Silva, open up the skeleton, and inside of here, let's click on the socket camera. And I'm going to just go in front here and try to adjust the socket. So you can see for the socket, when you have selected it, you have the relative location as well. So you can click and drag here and try to, I'm just trying to adjust it close to the eyes because the camera is realistically close to the eyes of the character. So maybe 10 in the X, and in the Y and the Z, it is fine right now. So let me just save and let's go ahead and play again to see what it looks like. So now we're inside of the head of the character. If we look down, if we look up, I mean, it looks fine. However, the character's head is in the way. Um, and I can also see the sides of the character is in the way. So let me actually go back and let me just push the camera slightly forward. So if you click and drag this, you can see you're sliding the camera forward. However, I don't want to slide it forward too much. I'm just going to write 5 instead of 0. And let me just try to play again. It looks better now. However, we can still see parts of the head. The good thing is we can't see the body inside of our character here. So everything's looking good. However, the head is in the way. So let's actually go in the next lesson and remove the head for this character. So only the enemy can see your head, but you as the player cannot see the head. So it is not like this inside of the camera. So let's go ahead in the next lesson and do this.